If you dream of home ownership but you're not already in the market, well, you're probably not happy with what you're seeing in some of the big areas. And a new study shows the median Toronto house price jumped by nearly an entire year's salary for the average Toronto resident. Penelope Graham's managing editor at Zoocasa now joins us with more. So we're back in the situation where your house, just by sitting there, might earn more than you this year.
And it's a really common narrative that home price appreciation in the GTA has been steadily outpacing that of incomes. And of course, we're coming off of 2019, which we now know was a really strong year for both home sales and price rebounds. Housing activity in the region is up 12.6% in 2019. Home prices in the region went up 4%. But how does this relate to incomes, and how is that going to impact home buyers? So we did a study where we took a look at 2019 median home price gains in municipalities across the GTA, and then we compared those home price increases to the median household income in each of these cities. And what we found was, for some of those markets, if you're a home buyer in that earning bracket, you're going to be really significantly impacted by the home price increases we've seen in the past year. So as you mentioned, City of Toronto, we saw the greatest home price increases in the 416. The median home price is up 8% to about $720,000. It's about $55K than what you would have paid in 2018 to buy a home. And as you mentioned, that's nearly equivalent to an entire year of median income in the city. So if you're a home buyer earning the median income, the median home price just rose about the equivalent of your entire salary over the past year.
Now, as a homeowner, I would swallow my pride if my house made more money than I did. It's like, hey, maybe I'm not the man of the house, but, you know, this is my asset, and I'm happy to see it go higher. But, of course, this market has created winners and losers. You have people who are saying, oh, look at the increase in my home value. This is fantastic. You have young people trying to get in and saying, well, how could I ever get in?
And, of course, it's a good news story for people who are already owners in these appreciating markets, because, of course, you're seeing your equity steadily rise. But if you're trying to save a down payment and you've just seen median home prices increase the equivalent of your salary, it's going to be all that more challenging to set aside that 5 to 20% that you're going to need to break into the market. However, it is really important to keep in mind that the GTA market is quite large geographically, and depending on where you're looking in the region, home price trends differ. So on the other end of the scale, we have markets like York Region and Simcoe. Those actually saw the smallest home price appreciation over 2019. They both rose about 2%, although for differing reasons. In Simcoe, you've got a combination of smaller markets, perhaps some more rural markets. Median home price there is still about $588,000, so considerably more affordable. That's a difference of about $13K from the previous year, and it's accounting for about 20% of the median income in that region. So it's a little bit more of a possible price to income gap there. However, in York Region, of course, we've been seeing that rallying from 2017, 2018, when it was hard hit by the home buyers plan. So there, we've got a couple of markets where homes are higher priced. It's a little bit more difficult to sell that inventory. So in those markets, you're looking at about maybe 20K higher than it was the previous year. Median home prices around $850,000. That's accounting for about 24% of incomes. So it does differ across the GTA region.
Now, when you say Simcoe, my dad has a small fishing boat up there. You start to, this is our little getaway to go out fishing. I consider that to be out of the city. I guess the point I'm trying to make is, if you want to afford it, you start driving or training out to a place you can afford.
Right, and that comes back to that drive until you qualify trend that we love to allude to, where you actually have to leave the city center and find more affordable markets that might be in more suburban areas, where you're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck, perhaps a larger property size, not having to limit yourself to a condo unit, and perhaps can get into a detached right away. So it really comes down to the lifestyle that you're looking for and what your home ownership priorities are.
Now, I'm not in the city anymore, but when we bought our first place, we were not willing at that age to leave Toronto. So we did get into the condo. It was the entry point. It was a fairly affordable one. We've even seen that deteriorate to a certain degree, where a young person can say, well, I'll just start in a condo then.
That's correct. So condo prices are actually appreciating at the greatest rate of all housing types in in the GTA, but as well as in the city of Toronto. And that's because it is at that most accessible price point. So you are seeing a greater volume of people getting into that segment. Of course, that's exacerbated by the mortgage stress test that was introduced at the beginning of 2018, which limited affordability for a greater proportion of home buyers. They then had to set their sights on perhaps cheaper housing, and so that's flooding the condo segment with more buyers than we normally would have seen.
Does it stop the move up too? I mean, the cycle of life for housing used to be get in the condo, then maybe get into a semi or a townhome, maybe then get up into your final, destination home that you're never going to leave. People sort of get stuck on the ladder, I imagine now.
That's correct. So the concept of a starter home in the city of Toronto really is a thing of the past. More increasingly, we're seeing people move into condo units and they're staying there for longer periods of time, hoping to grow their equity. And then when they do move, rather than moving into perhaps a detached from the city, they're actually leaving for one of those lower priced markets that we mentioned.
Always great to have you on. Get your insight, Penelope.
My pleasure.
Penelope Graham is the managing editor at Zoocasa.